Hey everyone, I am Jeff Lawton. I'm going to look at the game from today's Magnus Carlsen Invitational tournament. And at the time of the game, we're going to see the game between Anish Giri and Ding Liren. And Giri's on no points, so he badly needs to start winning games to stand a chance of a top 4 place to qualify for the knockout. Whereas Ding, well, he's well in the top 4. And if he can win this match, then he pulls himself into a very strong position indeed. So, quick look at the players' profiles. Ding is ranked 3rd in the world, and Anish is ranked 10th in the world. So, at the time of the game, Ding was leading 1.5 half after 2 games, and so he's in a strong position. Anish badly needed a win, so it's difficult with black against the world's 3rd ranked player, but we'll see how this one goes. So, Ding opened with d4, his usual opening move, d4, knight f6, c4, g6, and knight f3, bishop g7, a king's Indian, and e3, sort of a slow variation, avoiding main lines, castles, bishop to e2 and c5, trying to sharpen it up with a sort of Benoni structure, d5, and d6. And Anish had had this before in round 1 when he got demolished really in a game against Nakamura. And after knight c3, e6, we had knight d2, which is different to the Nakamura game where castles was played. And now knight a6. And we had castles for white, rook e8, e4. So white's lost a tempo compared to normal lines because it's played e3, e4 in 2 moves. But on the other hand, the knight has gone to a6. And normally you'd expect to see the knight better placed on the d7 square. So we had b6, d6, which sort of clarifies the position in the center, b6, and now knight b3. So this is why Ding has played this. His idea is to target the backward pawn on d6. We had queen e7, bishop f4, further attacking the d6 pawn. We had rook a d8 and queen d2, developing with knight to b4, bringing the knight into the game more from the side, rook a d1, and now queen b7. And we had f3, queen to a6, and now black is attacking the c4 pawn, which often is a target in this opening structure, particularly here because white can't play b3 to protect it. So this is black's own source of counterplay is attacking this. So we had a3 kicking the knight to c6, and now knight b5 blocking the queen's attack on the knight. But now this allowed a very strong reply by Giri of queen a4 because now he's attacking this twice. It's only defended once. He's also attacking the unprotected knight on b3. So not such an easy move to answer as white. And Ding played queen to c2 to protect the knight and protect the pawn. Now this met with a really wonderful reply, knight a5. And now we're attacking the knight here. It's only defended once by the queen, and it's attacked twice by the queen and knight. So, well, really it has to be moved. There's nothing else to do but to move this knight in order to defend the queen. So Ding played knight d4, which is sort of forced. Queen takes c2, knight takes c2, and now bishop takes c4. So it's often a sign that black's doing fine in a king's Indian if he's managed to capture the pawn in c4, and that indeed is the case here. We had bishop takes c4, knight takes c4, and now b3, taking the pawn off its attack square. But now a6, sort of a clever intermezzo move. We had b takes c4, a b5, cb5, and now d5. So the result of the brief skirmish is that black's very well developed compared to white. The two rooks are both on the D line. White's only got one. Sorry, both rooks on the central files, I should say. In addition to that, there's a threat to take on e4, and white's pieces are better placed. Black's pieces rather, the bishop can soon get some activity, and it has prospects to get here at some point with check. And this knight isn't, it's just not very well placed on c2. And in addition, these two pawns can be attacked. They look a bit exposed over there. So we had knight e3. If white tries to mix it up with bishop to c7, this runs into rook d7, hitting the bishop, captures on b6, and then rook b7. And now white's unable to take this because of rook c8, which at once wins a piece due to the pin on the C file. And if you play bishop anywhere else, like you've only got a5 as the anywhere else in this position, then rook takes b5, attacks the bishop, and black's just doing, well, he's virtually winning really, because when the bishop retreats, we can play d4, which gives black two very powerful connected passed pawns. And in addition, it makes the scope of these two pieces very poor. So instead of that, we had knight to e3 now, and now black captured the pawn on e4, bishop to c7, and now rook d3, which is a very strong move, attacking the knight and also attacking this pawn on a3. And if white was to capture, we play ed3, which now attacks the knight, and black has then got his two connected passed pawns again. So say white played knight c4, we can then play knight d5, attacking the bishop, and after bishop b6, the bishop comes in with check, with gain of time, king h1, and now rook e2, and black's just sort of invading. White, it's true that white's got his own passed pawns, but they're too slow, and the immediate threat is rook c2, and then when the knight moves, it gives up the protection of the bishop. So white would have to do something about that, like move the bishop to a5, but then rook hits the knight anyway with rook c2, and after knight d2, then we can play c4, and now this is simply all over. Fantastic centralized pieces of blacks, and c3 and then d2 is about to happen. So rook d3 wouldn't have helped. So instead of that, we had rook fe1 from Ding, and now rook captured on a3, and now we had knight c4. And if white was to play bishop takes b6, then we can play ef3. Now white would like to play bishop takes c5 if possible, but it runs into a really, really beautiful move, f2 check, which has to be captured, or we drop the rook. But then knight e4 check forks the king and bishop, winning for black. So that wouldn't be possible. So we had knight c4, rook b3 instead, and now knight d6 hitting the rook. Could have played rook here, but Anish chose a different path, equally good. Rook a8, and now white needs to start capturing some pawns back because he's 2 pawns down. With bishop b6, and now another elegant move, knight d7, which defends c5. It attacks the bishop on b6, and also it clears the way for the bishop to come into a wonderful square on d4. So bishop c7, bishop d4 check, king h1, and now e3. So this is a very safe position for black. There's no chance of losing now. He's a pawn up, and this pawn is extremely strong. I mean, when I say it's very safe, even it's not possible really you can win it by more or less sort of playing safely, which is what everybody wants to do in chess. So we had knight c4, and now rook a4 hitting the loose knight again, knight d6, and now rook to a2. So he's driven the knight back, or out of the way should I say, and now rook a2. So we had knight c4, rook to c2, attacking the knight again, and rook c1. We had rook takes c1, rook takes c1, and now rook takes b5. So what black is 2 pawns up. An even safer winning advantage. Bishop to f4, and now e2, sort of advancing the pawn nearer to a queening square, and the bishop has cut off the king, which makes it very hard for the king to get into the game to try and stop the pawn. So we had g4, making room for the king to hopefully come through. And then knight to b6, sort of bringing the knight into play. And we had knight d2, rook to b2, rook to e1, and now knight d5, again gaining time to bring his knight closer to the action and closer to the e-pawn. We had bishop h6 and knight c3, which protects the powerful pawn. And now black is threatening bishop f2, hitting the rook, and then we can queen the pawn. So we had king g2 to prevent that, and now f5. We had knight c4, hitting the rook again. Seems to be an awful lot of hitting the rook and the rook hitting the knight back. Rook b4, knight d6, f g4, f takes g4, and now bishop e5, sort of effectively winning the game, because at the same time as attacking the knight with the bishop, we're also doubly attacking the pawn on g4 with the rook. There's nothing white can do about that. You need to save your piece. It's more important than the pawn. So we played bishop to d2, and after bishop d6, bishop c3, rook takes g4, king f3, and at the end of the rush in the time scramble, we had rook h4, and here with sort of 3 pawns down, Ding resigned the game. So really nice game, and after that game, he puts himself now firmly into the top 4 spots. I think after this round, he actually had a 3-point gap between him and the pursuers behind him. So we'll see how it goes in the remaining 3 rounds. So I'm really enjoying this tournament, especially during lockdown. You know, getting to see some wonderful chess. And it has to be said, they're really exciting games that the players are giving us this week, and it continues, you know, a lot further into next week and beyond. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up or a like the video, or a thumbs up to subscribe to the channel. I'll get the hang of this eventually, I promise. But thanks for watching. Bye now.